Alright, hello everyone, welcome back to Reading with Toby. Today we are finally talking about the Booker Longlist. I am so excited. I have already seen it obviously because today is Thursday. The prize or the long list was announced on Tuesday, but I haven't gone into specifics. I haven't looked into the plot, so I thought we could do that together. I did this last year. It's so much fun. So now you have Lollapalooza in the background. I hope it's not too loud. I'm literally like, I live very close to where Lollapalooza is happening, so I hear it. I can literally see one of the stages from my window. So I'm sorry if it's very loud, but I thought it'd be so much fun to go through it. I want to go through it with you all. Again, we have some wine. I can put it here. Before we get started though, let me tell you my predictions. I can tell you the ones that I thought were gonna be on this list. I think along with everyone else, I think we were all expecting Demon Copperhead by Barbara Kingsolver to be on this list. I was really expecting it. I really want to read that book. It didn't make it on the list. I've read a Barbara Kingsolver before. I read the Poisonwood Bible a long time ago, but I remember loving it. So I'm still very interested in this book. Another one that I thought would be on there was the new Zadie Smith, even though I have no idea what it's about. The only reason why I thought it was gonna be on there is because this one Instagrammer or bookstagrammer that I follow, that was their favorite book. So I was like, okay, yeah, sure, that'll be on it. And also Zadie Smith is like a very famous author. And then the only one that I got right was in Ascension, which I'll put the cover here, which I've seen some people read. I've actually seen like mixed things about it. I have no idea what it's about, but that is the one that I got right that I thought might be on it. I thought also Caleb Azuma Nelson's new book, Small Worlds, which I haven't read yet, but I just bought a couple days ago, might also make the list, but that was it. This list is very surprising. I'm trying to find it now because I've only heard of one of the books. So it's very interesting list. Let's just start off with Ascension because that's the only one that I've heard of. Okay, so it sounds like we're following this woman named Lee. She is a marine biologist and she travels the globe to study ancient organisms. But then she discovers this trench in the Atlantic Ocean. She joins this exploration team hoping to find evidence of Earth's first life form. What she instead finds calls into question everything we know about our own beginnings and leaves her facing an impossible choice: to remain with her family or to embark on a journey across the breadth of the cosmos. That does sound really good. It sounds like something I will love. Sounds kind of existential, has a lot of science in it. Sounds like it's actually going to be a book that I freaking love. This book is a lot bigger than I thought it was though. This book is pretty thick. Okay, I'm definitely interested in that one. All right, so the first book is The House of Doors by Tan Tuan Ing, which I also have to say, even with just like my first glance at the stack, is that this is another very incredibly diverse list, which is amazing. Okay, let's see. This is based off real events. It's a novel of public morality and private truth, examining love and betrayal under the shadow of empire. It takes place in 1921. We're following a well-to-do lawyer and his wife, who is a society hostess. Their lives are invigorated when Willie, an old friend of Robert's, who's the lawyer, comes to stay. Sounds like the wife and this man become good friends. As Willie prepares to face his demons, Leslie confides secrets of her own, including a connection to the case of an Englishwoman charged with murder in the Kuala Lumpur courts, a tragedy drawn from fact and worthy of fiction. That took a turn. That one, the cover's really pretty. Okay, next is The Bee Sting by Paul Murray. This is one of the bigger books. I think the biggest book on the list, just from like glancing at it. So it sounds like we're following this family. The dad owns this car business, but it is failing, and instead of like trying to find a way to make more money, he is going in the woods and building like this bunker, apocalypse proof bunker. They have a teenage daughter named Cass who is determined to binge drink her way to her final exams, and then they have a 12-year-old son named PJ who's in debt to the local sociopath Ears Moran. Is putting the final touches to his grand plan to run away. So it looks like we're just following this family through their troubles. This one I think I would wait for reviews to see, just because it's so big and Maybe. Next we have Western Lane by Chenta Maru, which this cover, I do like this cover. It's kind of interesting. It's a debut novel about grief, sisterhood, teenage girl's struggle to transcend herself, and squash. 11-year-old Gopi has been playing squash since she was old enough to hold a racket. When her mother dies, her father enlists her in a quietly brutal training regimen, and the game becomes her world. Slowly, she grows apart from her sisters. Her life is reduced to the sport, guided by its rhythms, the serve, the volley, the drive, the shot, and its echo. But on the court, she is not alone. She is with her PA. I don't know what that means. She's with her pa. She's with Jed, a 13-year-old boy with his own formidable talent. She's with the players who have come before her. She's in awe. Oh, and so this is more about the game of squash, which, Next is Prophet Song by Paul Lynch. Okay, so this takes place in Dublin. Scientist and mother of 4, Eilish Stack answers her front door to find the GNSB on her doorstep. 2 officers from Ireland's newly formed secret police want to speak with her husband. Things are falling apart. Ireland is in the grip of a government that is taking a turn towards tyranny. And as the blood-dimmed tide is loosed, Eilish finds herself caught within a nightmare logic of a collapsing society. Assailed by an unpredictable forces beyond her control and forced to do whatever it takes to keep her family together. That one, maybe, I don't know. I'm also not too intrigued by that one either. All right, next is All the Little Bird Hearts by Victoria Lloyd Barlow. Okay, so this sounds honestly, like something I've kind of heard before. You're following this mom and daughter. The mom is has these kind of strict routines that she likes to stick to. Like it says, she must eat only white foods. Her etiquette handbook guides her through confusing social situations. And then she has a daughter who is on the cusp of leaving home. This couple comes in to live next to them and then kind of changes their life, which, I don't know. Meh. Okay, next is Pearl by Sion Hughes. It says that this contemplates both the power and the fragility of the human mind in her haunting debut, okay, another debut, which was inspired by the medieval poem of the same name. Interesting. Okay, this one sounds good. Okay, so we're following this young girl. She's 8 years old. Her name is Marion. Her mother dies and she is stuck in this home with her dad and her little brother. Baby brother and her grieving father in a ramshackle house on the edge of a small village. It says that as time is passing, she's struggling with this, and then she finds this poem called Pearl. She sets out to make a visual illustration of it, a task that she returns to over and over, but somehow never manages to complete. Tormented by an unmarked gravestone and an abandoned chapel in the tidal pool of the river, her childhood home begins to crumble as the past leads her down a path of self-destruction. I don't know, that just sounds kind of interesting. I like that one. That one I'm intrigued by. Next we have This Other Eden by Paul Harding. Inspired by historical events, This Other Eden tells a story of Apple Island, an enclave off the coast of the United States where castaways in flight from society and its judgment have landed and built a home. Oh, that actually sounds kind of interesting. Then comes the intrusion of civilization. Officials determined to cleanse the island. A missionary school teacher selects one light-skinned boy to save. The rest will succumb to the authorities' institutions or cast themselves on the waters in a new Noah's Ark. Okay, that sounds good. It sounds like it's gonna be a little bit weird. I'm intrigued by that one. I wonder how long that is. I'm looking at there's this I guess I could post it, but there's this thing here that shows you how big the books are, because you can see the spine. How big is that one? That's not too big. All right, that one sounds pretty good. Okay, next is How to Build a Boat by Elaine Freeney. I really like this cover. I like the colors. I like the color palette. Okay, yeah, this book I can tell is gonna be sad and heartwarming and sweet. This one you're following this little boy named Jamie O'Neill. It says he loves the color red. He loves tall trees, patterns, rain that come with the wind. At age 13, he's trying to build a perpetual motion machine and to connect with his mother, Noelle, who died when he was born. And at his new school, where all else is disorienting and overwhelming, he finds two people who might just be able to help him. Doesn't that sound like it's just gonna be like the sweetest little book? Yeah, I'm definitely intrigued by that. Okay, next is If I Survive You, which is I really like that title, by Jonathan Escoffery. Okay, it's a novel in stories. Okay, so it sounds like this one we're following these Jamaican immigrants, and they flee to Miami, but they soon learn that the welcome in America will be far from warm. Oh wow, so we're following these two brothers. They find themselves pitted against one another. I know that sounds good, but I just don't know if I want to read that. That sounds like it'd be a little bit too heartbreaking. Okay, next is Study for Obedience by Sarah Bernstein. I kind of like this cover. Her accomplished and unsettling second novel, she explores themes of prejudice, abuse, and guilt through the eyes of a singularly unreliable narrator. Okay, already down. Okay, so this one you're following this woman who goes back to basically like kind of be the housekeeper of his brother after the brother's wife dies, and it's like in this small town, and the town is kind of like suspicious of the woman, and it sounds like the brother is now starting to fall ill. I don't know, I love it. It sounds kind of interesting. Tell me unsettling and unreliable narrator and then literary book. I think I'm gonna love it. So I'm definitely interested in that one. Two more. Next is Old God's Time by Sebastian Barry. Okay, this one I don't think I'm that interested in. This one sounds like you're following this policeman who's now retired. He's living in this house kind of on the outskirts of an Irish sea. He doesn't really see anyone, and then suddenly two old colleagues come up and have questions about an old case that's like bringing up secrets in the past, blah blah blah. Not too interested in that. Last one is A Spell of Good Things by Ayobami Adebayo. I think that's how you say that. I've definitely heard of this author. I've heard great things about this author. I've never read from this author before. So it's a story of modern Nigeria and two families caught in the riptides of wealth, power, romantic obsession, and political corruption. This one sounds kind of interesting. It sounds like you're following, like I said, these two families. One family you're following the son, the other family you're following the daughter, and then it says, but when sudden violence shatters a family apart, these two lives become inextricably intertwined. Which, like, maybe. That one I feel like I have to wait to see more reviews. So overall, I don't know, I feel like last year the prize had much more like, I don't know, what's what I'm looking for, like different and like kind of weirder books and just things that we really weren't expecting. This one I feel feels more like your typical literary novels following like family dynamics. I don't know, it just doesn't seem too out there. Not that I'm saying these books don't sound great and that they don't deserve it or anything. I just feel like last year we had a bit more like books that we weren't quite expecting. All of these, you know, sound like your typical literary novels. The ones that I'm most interested in is definitely in Ascension. I'm really interested in this even though it's a long book. And then I said This Other Eden sounded good. How to Build a Boat sounded great. And then Study for Obedience. I think those are my top ones. But yeah, this is a very interesting list. I don't know, it's just I don't think any of us were expecting this. Let me know what you thought and which books you're most interested in. If you think there's one that I didn't like quite grasp and you think I would actually love. I think the one that like I'm seriously, there's always like one or two that I'm like for sure I'm gonna read this year. I think it's going to be Study for Obedience, the one about the sister and the unreliable narrator, and then in Ascension, just because that sounds like my perfect kind of book, like existential with lots of science. So I think those are going to be the two that I'm going to try to get to soonish. But yeah, let me know what you all thought. Yeah, I hope Lollapalooza wasn't too loud behind me. But yes, I hope you all have a great day, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye.